Imagine waking up on Christmas morning, opening your presents, tucking into a bit of turkey, and then checking your phone only to discover that half the country reckons you'll be out of a job within 12 months. Not ideal, is it? Definitely not the festive vibe you were hoping for. But that's exactly the reality facing Keir Starmer right now, because a brand new poll has landed like a lump of coal in Downing Street's stocking. 50% of Brits, that's half the country, expect the Prime Minister to be replaced by the end of 2026, not 2030, not after another election, within the next year. That's not just bad news, that's catastrophic, apocalyptic, career-threatening news. And it gets worse, because this isn't happening in isolation. Labour's poll numbers are tanking, Starmer's personal ratings are in the gutter, and speculation about leadership challenges is so rife that even the Prime Minister himself has admitted it. Welcome back to UK Political Insight, where we're unpacking the absolute train wreck that is Labour's first few months in government, and asking the question that's now on everyone's lips: is Keir Starmer already a dead man walking? Let's dive in, because this is brutal. Right, let's start with the poll itself, because the numbers are genuinely staggering. YouGov, polling for Sky News, asked Brits whether they think Keir Starmer will still be Prime Minister by the end of 2026. 31% said he will probably be replaced. Another 19% said he will definitely be out within the next 12 months. Add those together and you get 50% of respondents who reckon Starmer's days are numbered. Only 35% think he'll still be in number 10 this time next year. Let that sink in for a second. The Prime Minister has been in office for less than a year, and already half the country expects him to be gone within another 12 months. That is historically unprecedented for a newly elected leader with a massive parliamentary majority. Usually, new prime ministers enjoy at least a brief honeymoon period where the public gives them the benefit of the doubt. Starmer didn't just skip the honeymoon, he went straight to the divorce lawyers. Now, to understand how we got here, we need to rewind to July 2024. Labour won a landslide victory in the general election. Absolute scenes. After 14 years in opposition, they were back in government with a thumping majority. Starmer walked into Downing Street as a conquering hero, the man who'd rebuilt Labour from the wreckage of the Corbyn era and delivered them back to power. The future looked bright. Fast forward a few months, and it's all gone horribly wrong. Labour's poll numbers have been in steep decline ever since that election victory. Starmer's personal ratings have plummeted to historically low levels for a new prime minister. We're talking ratings that even struggling leaders deep into their tenure would find embarrassing, and he's barely got started. So what happened? How did it all unravel so quickly? Part of the problem is that governing is hard, especially when you inherit a country that's been run into the ground. The NHS is on its knees, the economy is stagnant, public services are crumbling, and illegal immigration remains a political minefield. Labour promised to fix all of this, and voters are now watching closely to see if they can deliver. So far, the results have been underwhelming. The economy, according to the same YouGov poll, is a particular sore point. 71% of Brits believe the economy has got worse over the last 12 months. 71%. That's an overwhelming majority who think things are heading in the wrong direction. Only 7% think the economy has improved. 7. That's margin of error territory. That's statistical noise. That's basically nobody. When 3/4 of the country think the economy is tanking on your watch, you've got a serious problem. Now, to be fair to Starmer, he didn't create all of these problems. He inherited a mess from the Conservatives. But the harsh reality of politics is that voters don't care about excuses. They care about results. Labour campaigned on being the party that could fix things. And if they're not fixing things quickly enough, people will lose patience. And they clearly have. The cost of living crisis is still squeezing households, wages aren't keeping pace with inflation, energy bills are still eye-wateringly high, and despite Labour's promises, people aren't feeling any tangible improvement in their daily lives. That disconnect between promise and reality is lethal for any government, but it's especially dangerous when you've only been in power for a few months and you're already losing public confidence. Then there's the drama around Rachel Reeves and her budget. The Chancellor announced changes to business rates that have sparked fury among pub owners across the country. Pubs, those beloved British institutions where communities gather, pints are pulled, and Sunday roasts are consumed, are now barring Labour MPs from entry in protest. Imagine being so unpopular that the landlord won't even let you in for a pint. That's not just bad politics, that's a national embarrassment. Pubs are the beating heart of British social life, and when they're telling your MPs to sling their hook, you know you've lost the room. The business rates changes are seen as hitting small businesses hard at a time when they're already struggling. Pub owners feel betrayed, and they're making their anger very public. It's terrible optics for Labour, and it feeds into a narrative that they're out of touch with ordinary people and small business owners who are just trying to survive. But let's talk about the real elephant in the room, the leadership speculation. Downing Street has been at pains to insist that Starmer's job is secure. Labour Party Chair Anna Turley went on the record on Sunday saying Starmer would absolutely still be Prime Minister by next Christmas. Absolutely. That's a strong word, but here's the thing about politicians using words like absolutely. It often means the exact opposite. If Starmer's position was genuinely secure, they wouldn't need to keep saying it. The fact that they're constantly having to bat away questions about his future tells you everything you need to know. There's smoke, and where there's smoke, there's usually at least a small fire, if not a raging inferno. And then there's Wes Streeting, the health secretary who's long been rumored to have his eye on the top job, gave an interview where he said he would be diplomatically ducking questions about potentially throwing his hat in the ring to one day be prime minister. Diplomatically ducking. That's politician speak for I'm absolutely thinking about it, but I'm not stupid enough to say it out loud right now. Streeting also expressed his full support for Starmer, which again is exactly what you'd say if you were positioning yourself for a future leadership bid. It's Politics 101. You publicly back the current leader while quietly building your own base of support, so that when the moment comes, you're ready to strike. Streeting is ambitious, capable, and media savvy. He knows how to play the game, and right now, he's playing it very well. Then you've got other potential challengers lurking in the wings. Angela Rayner, the Deputy Prime Minister, has never hidden her ambitions. She's popular with the membership, she's got a compelling personal story, and she's proven herself a tough political operator. Andy Burnham, the mayor of Greater Manchester, is also frequently mentioned as a potential future leader. He's got experience, name recognition, and a track record of success in Greater Manchester. If Labour decides they need a change at the top, there's no shortage of alternatives. The question is whether anyone will actually pull the trigger, and if so, when. Now, Starmer himself has admitted that speculation about his job is pretty rife. That's a remarkable admission for a sitting prime minister. Most leaders in his position would flatly deny any leadership speculation and insist everything is fine. The fact that Starmer is acknowledging it suggests he knows the situation is serious. Maybe he's trying to get ahead of the narrative, to show he's aware of the concerns and is working to address them. Or maybe he's just being honest about the political reality he's facing. Either way, it's a sign that he's under intense pressure, both from the public and from within his own party. Let's zoom out for a moment and consider the broader context. Labour won a landslide election less than a year ago with a clear mandate to govern. They have a huge parliamentary majority, which theoretically gives them the power to push through their agenda without much opposition. And yet, they're already facing a crisis of confidence. That's almost unheard of in modern British politics. Usually, new governments with big majorities have a few years of relative stability before the cracks start to show. Labour's government is fracturing before it's even had a chance to properly settle in. Part of that is down to the scale of the challenges they're facing. The UK is in a bad place economically, socially, and politically. Fixing that was never going to be quick or easy, but part of that is also down to Labour's own missteps, communication failures, and inability to manage expectations. The comparison with previous Labour governments is instructive. Blair came to power in 1997 with a similar landslide and maintained public support for years, even through controversial decisions like the Iraq War. Gordon Brown, by contrast, took over as Prime Minister without an election and struggled from day one, eventually leading Labour to a crushing defeat in 2010. The question is whether Starmer is more like Blair or more like Brown. Right now, the signs point towards the latter, which is deeply concerning for Labour. If Starmer can't turn things around quickly, the party will start to panic, and panicking parties make rash decisions, like ditching their leader in the hope that a fresh face will solve all their problems. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Getting rid of Starmer won't magically fix Labour's problems. The challenges facing the country are structural and deep-rooted. Whoever's Prime Minister will struggle with the same issues: a stagnant economy, crumbling public services, high immigration, and a disillusioned electorate. Changing the leader might provide a temporary boost in the polls, but unless the leader can actually deliver tangible improvements to people's lives, the same cycle will repeat. Labour could end up going through leaders at the same dizzying pace the Conservatives did.